Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
Delivered to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and thus that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her, they've been feeling worse.
Turn it over to another agency. Let's get some help.
Where are your kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii? Dad, where are Lori's kids?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here for another ATS News live stream. We are discussing the release of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. She's now married. She got married in prison. I'm not sure her new last name. If anybody knows it, let me know. But I'm hearing that he is a teacher for special needs children. Again, stuff I'm hearing today. I'm not really sure if it's accurate. So thank you, Adrian, for the Christmas cash app that you sent. I really appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure that I thanked you first and foremost before we get into things, guys. I'm not feeling well today. Almost canceled the live stream, so I'm just going to turn my camera off and literally be under a little bit of a blanket. I'm on cold medicine, but yeah, I couldn't miss discussing this with you guys because it's something that I've been following for a long time. And, I think that this case has a lot of emotions tied to it for a lot of different people. And I just wanted to put out a disclaimer right now. Please be kind to each other in chat. Please be kind in the comment section below. We might not agree on this case, but like my friend and moderator Criminality always says, like, just be kind because, and don't leave because we might agree on the next case. So again, this is just a very heated discussion in a lot of Facebook realms that I've been seeing today. I'm going to read through some of those, but let me just share the screen a little bit and just do a little bit of background for those who don't know this. So she's back on the outside. She's been released from behind bars and out on parole. Gypsy had been serving a 10-year sentence. Now, I heard some place said that she served 7 years out of the 10. And then I saw one that said she served 8 years out of the 10 years. So again, misinformation out there, but she was convicted of second-degree murder in connection with the death of her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard. As we reported, Gypsy was granted parole in September, and the Missouri Department of Corrections scheduled her release December 28th, 3 years before her release date. Okay, so 7 years. Remember, Gypsy was sentenced to a decade behind bars in 2016 after pleading guilty to her mother's murder, a case that spawned an HBO documentary and a Hulu scripted series. You'll recall Dee Dee was accused of forcing Gypsy to pretend to be disabled for years, holding her hostage and even tying her up in bed after Gypsy tried to escape her clutches. Dee Dee suffered from Munchausen by proxy, a mental disorder where someone fabricates illnesses or actually causes injury to someone for sympathy or attention. And now that's sort of downplaying what Gypsy had done, in my opinion, what Dee Dee had done to Gypsy. She was scamming the government for housing. She was scamming Make-A-Wish Foundation for their trips to Disney. She had pushed the father out of Gypsy's life and just manipulated every which way of her daughter's life, Gypsy. So, this is just summing it up a little bit. Gypsy's then boyfriend, Nick Godjohn, admitted to murdering Dee Dee in 2015 to help Gypsy escape her mother. Now, these are their mugshots at the time. While Gypsy is now enjoying some newfound freedom, Nick was convicted of murder and is serving a life sentence. Now, 32 years old, he has said in prison interviews she felt more free behind bars than when she was living with Dee Dee. And she says she regrets her mother's murder. Now, I believe that she regrets it. I know not everybody believes that she's remorseful. You guys let me know what you think in chat. Up next for Gypsy Rose's trip is to see NFL's Kansas City Chiefs. She previously told TMZ she and her husband Ryan got tickets. She's hoping to meet Taylor Swift. Wow. All right. And then let me just share my screen a little bit. We have recent pictures released. So here is her and her husband picking out sneakers. Looks like they're at some department store. That's her husband. And here we have her walking around. Hold on. Yeah, this is like some of the first images of her today. So no shoes just yet. She's in her socks. Let me see what chat is saying. And hello, Tony and Pointer Lover and Mike, dose of reality with Jen Lou. She left prison with her freedom, but no shoes. Right. I guess that was one of their first stops. Sue says she's with me. Again, I'm not saying that everyone's going to agree with what I have to say. In fact, I'd seen a lot of people were already upset before the live stream started, including my friend Mac J, who's on here. And, you know, we always agree in a lot of cases, but we don't have to always agree. So again, I know that somebody said that she shouldn't be released. I'm just going to read through some of these Facebook posts. Now, this one has over 900 likes on it. It says, Gypsy Rose is free. First comment, don't agree. She knew what she was doing. People got life for a lot less, regardless of what her mother did. And that comment got 64 likes. Somebody wrote, Gypsy would probably be dead right now if she didn't do what she did to survive. And that got 103 likes. I even saw somebody say she was a murderer. Technically, if we're going to be technical, which we have to be in the court of law and in true crime, she didn't do the physical murdering. That was Nick. And they found him to be competent. And I've seen people wrote that he was mentally challenged. His IQ was low. Now, all that was true. But I also seen somebody wrote about how he had multi-personalities. And I pulled up something from the trial which talked about his, let me just find it, guys. It talked about what he was diagnosed with. Okay, so it says, psychologist Kent Franks testified at the 2016 hearing that he is more of the mind of a child than an adult. He said that after 2 mental evaluations on Nick, he determined that the killer is on the autism spectrum with an IQ of 82, the functionality equivalent of that of a 10-year-old. Now, he did not find that he had the multi-personality disorder that it's been rumored that he had. So again, I'm not trying to say that it's fair for Nick. I feel badly for what happened to him, but there is misinformation about what he'd been diagnosed with. So he doesn't have multi-personalities. He does have low IQ, and apparently he's on the spectrum. Now, back to these comments regarding Gypsy. Just a lot of mixed feelings about it. I know a lot of you guys have your own mixed feelings about it. Of course she did, and so did her mother. That girl went through hell and back. Her mother robbed her of her childhood. I hope she goes back and sues those doctors for all the unnecessary surgeries she had. Somebody wrote, good, glad she's free. Someone else wrote, good for her, but not the mentally challenged boyfriend she used to kill her. Hope she rots. Just people are just very angry about her being released. Other people are saying that she's going to do it again, and to which somebody said, I highly doubt it, since this seemed like an isolated incident, and they don't think that she would do it again because there's no need for it. Whereas, you know, prior she was being abused. Somebody said, as she should be released, so happy for her. Great, until she manipulates another special needs person to kill for her. And somebody said, well, being that it wasn't a random attack on anyone, I don't see that happening. Her mom was a terrible person. Again, I don't really like to victim shame or blame. Now, Dee Dee did not deserve to be murdered. I agree with some of these comments that stated they would have loved to see Dee Dee put in prison for what she was doing to Gypsy. That to me would have been sweet justice. I think it's very concerning also when you look back at Dee Dee and Gypsy's father's relationship. It started when Gypsy's father was 17 and Dee Dee was 23. I don't know what the consensual relationship age is in Louisiana. I think that's where they're from. But some people could argue that he was just a child and that she was abusing Gypsy's father. They got married when he was legally able to marry at 18, but she was already pregnant at that point. So was she sort of, could you say that she was abusing somebody who, he's 17 years old. His brain isn't even fully developed. I don't know, but he got out of that marriage immediately as soon as he could because he realized he didn't love her. So somebody said special needs. Did he not get arrested prior to meeting Gypsy Rose for masturbating in public? He drove his parents' car freely, had enough capability and thought to join a dating site, and was old enough and capable enough to understand how sex worked, given that he had sex with Rose after the crime was committed and during the week when they were on the run. So special needs is not the right word. Mildly autistic, yes. Stop making excuses for him. It was proven in court that he had been capable of making this decision. Now that got 11 likes, and somebody wrote, and so was she. But that's the thing, is like, she wasn't the one who killed. Yes, you can argue her level of her hand that she had in this murder, definitely questionable. And, it's another example of a plea deal that takes place that I just don't think is fair. I don't like plea deals. There's other cases that we've covered where it ends in a plea deal and that's it. It's just, they just get, the thing about the plea deal is the district attorney and the prosecution wins because they get a conviction under their name, but the victims usually lose in plea deals, in my opinion. And a lot of plea deals, they're not necessarily guilty of the crime. I understand that, but some of them, they are guilty. And Gypsy was guilty in a level of, culpability in this murder of her mother. Is it fair that she only served 7, 8-ish years? I don't think that that's fair. Now, that was the whole kind of question in this tag of the title. Is this fair? Many people believe what she went through kind of makes it so that it's understandable that she acted this way. I've seen some people compare the way that Gypsy's mother was abusing her and then fought back finally to spouses who abuse their other spouse. And then finally the spouse strikes back with defense mechanisms or, to end it completely, ended the abuse themselves. And then they only get put away for a shorter amount of sentencing because it comes out that, like, yes, there was a history of violence and it got to the point where they just couldn't take it anymore or their life was at risk. So it's been kind of excused on a level and their sentencing wasn't as hard. I just think that here is a situation where you really could say that her childhood was robbed. Gypsy was manipulated by her mom. Nick was manipulated by Gypsy. Right. And that, to me, it's like, what else could Gypsy have kind of done in a way to, now I know that there's other things she could have done, don't get me wrong, but from what she knew and what she grew up with and the tactics and lifestyle that Dee Dee had shown her, it's kind of like, it made kind of sense that she would kind of manipulate someone to get her out of this situation. I'm not saying the way that she went about it was right, but it's one of those things where it's like, is it right for a wife to shoot an abusing husband when finally she's had enough of being abused? Is this one of those situations? She didn't even pull the trigger or stab in this case. Gypsy was treated horribly by her mother, but doesn't mean you plan to murder them. She should still be in jail, in my opinion. I agree that this 8 years was just like, wow, like she got a sweet deal. And that's unfortunate that the US allows plea deals where somebody like Gypsy does what she does and can walk out in less than a decade. If she spent 10 years or even up to maybe 12 or 15 years, I know it's not far from 7, 8-ish, but to me, I feel like, okay, I'd be a little more like, okay, that's fair. Like, I don't think that she should have got a life sentence. I don't think that she should be behind bars as long as Nick. Nick was proven to have had the capability to say no. He didn't have to go and do what he did. He chose to. But Gypsy being out so quickly, it's definitely one of those situations where it's like, wow, who is her lawyer? Well, if everything Gypsy claims occurred with these doctors happened, why hasn't she sued? Maybe her husband's going to guide her in that. Yeah, Charlie Manson never killed, but he was in for life. Good point, Chase. Yes, he was capable of making the decision, but manipulated into doing so. That's true. He was manipulated into doing it. But at the end of the day, he had free will. He didn't have to do it. They said that he had the mental capacity of a 10-year-old. A 10-year-old still knows right and wrong. Again, that's just my opinion. I hope you guys understand that we might not all agree on this case. That's why I wanted to cover this case for this evening, because it is one of those cases that's very, a lot of debate goes on with this. And I like having discussions and I like looking at things from a different point of view. I don't think that she should be out so soon, but I do think that spending life behind prison or longer than 12, 15 years, I think would have been not right. But that's just my opinion. Again, I'm looking at the aspect of her being abused her entire life. I know that it shouldn't matter what the victim was doing in her life, but there were rumors that Dee Dee even murdered her own mother. And there were family members of Dee Dee's in this documentary that pretty much said she got what she deserved. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, all that I kind of take in consideration when I'm looking at this big picture of like, okay, was this fair or was it not fair? Would have been great if Dee Dee spent time behind bars, or maybe they could have connected her mother's murder to her. That would have been sweet justice, But her mother, I guess, died under, I think, natural causes because they never could really prove that it was Dee Dee, but there was a lot of talk that it was. Seth, thank you so much. Because I'm neglected, LOL, be blessed. I tagged you earlier before the live stream started. I said that I was distraught over Idaho House being demolished today too. We talked about it in my last live stream and I shared a picture of it on my community. I mean, what more can we say about it? It's come and gone, sadly, and we'll cross the bridge of what's next in that case when something comes up. Somebody said, about time Gypsy is free, but I do believe her boyfriend should be free also. Somebody said she completed her time. Another person wrote, I hope people leave her alone and stop treating her life and trauma like it's some celebrity tea or drama. This is a real woman who has been traumatized her entire life and never had the chance to experience a real life and everything we take for granted. Mental health issues are almost always caused or brought on due to traumatic events. Most people's circumstances and the event, the person that has caused their trauma is no longer there. Only the long-term mental, physical effects of the trauma after the event. She's going to need therapy and distance from people treating her like a celebrity. And I warn you, in the future, in the outside world, if she does something bad, you guys are going to start making memes and joke about her like you did with Britney Spears, Amanda Bynes. I'm going to be so disappointed and mad at you all. Somebody wrote, oh no, not a stranger on the internet disappointed in me. Just people are just very much either for this release or they're completely against it. Now let's see. what they have to say. Yeah, plea deals shouldn't be given so freely. I agree. I really, really agree. It's just never seems like it's a good decision. I still love how she had a cell phone before shoes. Hi, Ambers and Mods. I know nothing about this lady, just going back to the beginning to catch up. Hello, Lily. It's good to see you. Oh my gosh, Ava, that's so crazy that you say that because my papa used to say that I looked like Judy Garland when she sings Merry Little Christmas or something. But thank you. I've also heard Natalie Wood, but I don't have like the darker hair anymore. My hair is usually brown. It definitely was not a cold-blooded crime. See, I think of it as, I don't know. I don't want to say that it's like a spouse who fights back against an abusive spouse, but to me, I sort of see it that way. And I could be wrong. I'm not saying the way that I think on these cases is right or wrong, but I don't know. I wish her ex wasn't doing life. Okay. She was an attractive woman. I guess I could deal with that psychobabble. All right. So let's see what I think this was a recent article. Yeah, this was published this week. All right. In 2015, the then couple conspired to murder Gypsy's mother, Dee Dee, who mentally and physically abused Gypsy throughout her entire life. A victim of Munchausen by proxy, Gypsy was put in a wheelchair despite being able to walk, forced to take medications she didn't need, and had her head shaved in an effort to convince their family, friends, and the community that she was suffering from muscular dystrophy, leukemia, and other ailments. Now, remember, she also lost all her teeth because of her mother. She had a feeding tube in her stomach when she didn't need it because of her mother. Like, it was just complete torture on this girl. The mistreatment only ended after Nick murdered Dee Dee in 2015. Both Gypsy and Nick were convicted and sentenced to prison for their respective roles in the murder and have given a handful of candid interviews about the crime since. How did Gypsy Rose meet Nick? Okay, we already know that they met online, blah, blah, blah. I want to know what he has to say. Nick reiterated his motive to commit the crime, saying, "I was blindly in love. That was always very much the case." And so he's been sentenced. See, that's the thing, is he's sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Now, why is there no possibility of parole? Yet, we referenced Charles Manson and how, that case went. He didn't kill anybody. Well, what else took place this year? That Manson follower, what was her name? Leslie something. She's been released on parole. So why, this, she was a physical murder in that case, in the Manson killings. So why is she granted parole? Again, it's a different state. I acknowledge that. Different decade even too. But it's just interesting how you compare one thing to another one way, and then here we're comparing the similar cases in a different way, and Nick's given no chance of parole. So in July 2019, Nick gave a rare interview from prison as he appeared on the Oxygen special, Gypsy Rose and Nick, I Love to Kill. In a clip from the interview, Nick recalled his relationship with Gypsy, calling it the best days of his life. "From the very beginning, I just knew we were soulmates," he continued. "Those 5 days when I was actually with her, physically with her, those 5 days were the most intense and magical, awe-inspiring days I've ever had." Nick said in the interview that he felt killing Dee Dee was imperative to ensuring he and Gypsy could spend their lives together. "Somehow I just knew deep within my heart, some way me and her would end up being together in the end. There's no other option. We got to do it," he said, referring to the murderer. "I wanted to make sure her mom was not going to harm her anymore, and I made sure of that." Nick is currently serving a life sentence. Blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm curious what he thinks of, her freedom. I'm sure there's agencies reaching out to him. Now, what I want to do, oh, Seth, Merry Christmas. He said, because I'm a big fan. Well, I appreciate that very much. This is where the juries and committees come into play. They're human and there's no perfect algorithm. Different outcomes with different people. That's so true. And hello, everyone who's joined. If you haven't hit like, just hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. And hello, Alicia. It's good to see you. And Carol freaking Claus and everyone else who's joined. Thank you for being here. Hi, Butterfly Kisses. All right. So I just want to kind of take a trip down memory lane and play 12-ish minutes of her interrogation, because I just feel like where she is now, we got to look back and see how it all got there. And so give me a second. She spent 50 years in prison. The one in the Manson killing. See, to me, for the level of brutality in that crime, I just don't think that she should have ever been out. That's just my opinion. Van Houten or Hooten, that's who it was. I just think that was wrong of California to release her. Again, that's just my opinion. Does she have any ability to sue the doctors, like the ones giving her feeding tubes, etc.? So just because I've looked into medical situations and when you're able to sue and all that, because of a situation that happened to me during the birth of my daughter in New York, I know that once there was an X amount of months and years, you can't do it anymore. So I don't know what Missouri is and what their statute of limitations is, but I know in New York there was a limit. And unfortunately, for my case, I had waited too long. I lived with a mom who wasn't nearly abusive as this case, and let me tell you, it messes you up. I hope Gypsy lives a good life. She is always going to be damaged. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just saying it's going to take rewiring. Even after being in prison, she's going to be needing to have rewiring. If that was my mom, I probably would have did the same, but different. And that's a lot of people's opinion too on this, are saying she was being abused nonstop. What was she going to do? Well, a lot of people have said you could just run away. It's definitely a situation where this case has a lot of different opinions. And hello, Melissa Jade and everyone else who's here. All right.
I told them that my mom was a bit protective and she's a bit hard to, please, I guess. And I wanted him to make a good impression on her.
Sure.
So I sent him some formal clothes, like a nice shirt like that and a nice pants.
Right.
And so they can meet up so he can at least make a good impression. So, and I guess my mom just saw right through all the falseness and everything, and she's like, he's dangerous.
And isn't that just wild for us listening to Gypsy say that her mother, her first impressions of Nick were he's dangerous? Now, I think that a lot of people have a sixth sense, call it a mother's intuition, women's intuition. Men and women are able to tap into this sixth sense kind of gut feeling. Some people don't listen to it, others do. Now, it's interesting to me to hear that Dee Dee thought that, he was dangerous.
So there's something else I had to ask you. And you don't know what happened to the knife. Did he have it in his hand whenever he opened up the bathroom door?
Yes, sir.
He did have it in his hand.
He had it in his hand, and he didn't want me to look, and but he wanted me to clean up his blood from his cut.
Okay.
So I was able to clean him up, and I put a Band-Aid on his finger.
Okay, so we have someone who looked up Missouri law. A plaintiff generally must file a claim for medical malpractice within 2 years. So the same as New York, pretty much. While I have it paused, I'll read this comment too. I wish that it would have been a little longer, where in my heart, I would only have well wishes. She does deserve to have a chance at a good life, in my opinion. No children, in my opinion. That would be torture for me. I feel the same way, in the sense that, like, I can see it where people are kind of outraged because it was only 7, 8 years in prison. Like you said, you wish it was a little longer. I share those thoughts. You know, I'm not saying she deserved life, but yeah, a little longer would have, I think, made us all kind of sleep a little more soundly. Now, again, for those who think that no, 8 years was enough, tell me, say it in the comments or say it down below in a replay. I'm curious what you guys are thinking.
Have you seen the Facebook posts that were out there? That was on Gypsy.
Yes, sir.
Okay, who put those posts out there? You know the one I'm specifically talking about. The very first post. What did that post say?
Something really bad.
Okay, what was so bad? What was said?
I put it on there because I wanted someone to find my mom.
Okay. What did you put? What did you type on there?
I put what he had said to me, and he was happy about it.
Which was what?
That bitch is dead.
That bitch is dead? Is that what you just told me? Okay. So you put on your Facebook account, that bitch is dead. Okay.
So Adrian says, I think she should be in assisted living. I think that there should be some sort of, you're demanded or required to attend this type of therapy weekly or monthly. Like, there should be some stipulations with her plea deal where it says, like, you need to be, like, receiving help. But sorry, hold on. Let me just change my screen for a second. I wanted to share that Facebook post where she actually said that. And I don't want to read through this whole thing, but this is the post that they are referring to in the interrogation. That bee is dead. Somebody wrote, what's going on? Again, these are full names on here, so I'm sorry. This is a public post. Please don't contact these people. I just want to put that disclaimer out there. What is going on? What? Did your Facebook get hacked? I never heard you talk like that. I bet she did. Sounds like y'all are watching a movie. D, what's wrong? That is not D. Should someone notify the local police? This sounds scary. Yes, I think someone should report this. I'll call now. Does anyone know the address? Private message me, please. We are their friends in Louisiana. So that's the post that they're referring to.
Someone to know that something was wrong.
Good night, Seth. Thank you for coming in. If I don't see you before the new year, have a happy new year. I'm going to be live tomorrow night on the Watts. I don't know if CDT's joining me. I haven't heard back from her, but I hope I see you guys all then tomorrow night, even if it's just me. Now, I missed a super chat. I don't know if it was before Seth's or after. Sorry, guys. I'm scrolling through chat and sharing my screen, so I'm all over the place.
And I knew that my friends would all worry if that's not the way me and my mom talk.
Okay.
So,
Lucy, thank you so much. Is it me or anyone thinks she wasn't as naive as she played? Now, I definitely agree, Lucy. I think that there was a level of her being naive, but I think that in a lot of this interview and just her in court, even when she's testifying at Nick's trial and stuff, I think that it's a lot of it's like, oh, I'm so innocent. I'm just a little, I don't know much. And it's just not the truth. I think she's actually a lot smarter than even her mother was telling people she was, you know? There's definitely a huge manipulation or factor in her, which obviously comes from, in my opinion, just her upbringing, that she learned to manipulate because her mother was the master manipulator. Um, and that's why she speaks that language so fluently, the language of lying and manipulation. Um, Again, it's not an excuse for her, but I'm just saying she's a product of her environment fully. And I just worry what type of person she's going to be the rest of her life. But I do think that she deserves a chance. And a lot of people don't want to give her that chance, but I do personally.
I was like, if I put that on there, they'll know something's wrong.
Okay. Where did you do that from?
From his house.
So you never went to the bedroom?
No, sir.
And you said they had locked you in the bathroom? Describe how that happened.
As I was going towards my mom's room, because I was coming like here, and it's a hallway. And I was like, where are you going? And he put me in the bathroom. He closed the door. And but first he locked the door in the way that it locked itself.
Were you inside the bathroom when you
I was
locked it?
inside the bathroom.
Okay.
And
And
then,
so he can lock it from the outside?
no, he put it like to lock inside and then he closed it.
So the lock was on the inside
The
where
lock
you were
was
at?
in the inside.
Okay, so how come you never unlocked it and came out?
I never thought about it.
At,
And
at that point, did you know what his intentions were?
not really, no.
You didn't know what his intentions were with your mom?
I was kind of afraid of him, so I thought I'd give him time to cool off, I guess. And then I heard all the screaming, and I was so scared that I just covered my ears. And I just crawled up in a little corner.
Where were you at in the bathroom?
Um,
You said you were curled up.
I'm by the tub, like by the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
I was there.
What were you wearing that night?
I was wearing a white nightgown with flowers on it.
A white nightgown with flowers? And you're doing this to have flowers on the top up here?
Flowers on the top.
Okay. Now, when you say nightgown, I'm not a girl, so I don't know what those things are. Can you kind of describe it a little better for me?
A white gown, long sleeves,
Okay.
white, and it was a soft material.
Soft material. Okay. Did you have panties or shorts or anything on?
No, I don't usually wear panties to bed.
Okay.
So she's got no underwear on, and they had planned this whole thing before Nick even gets there. I just want to read these two comments in chat because they're just polar opposites, and it's basically sums up everybody's kind of what I've been seeing online. I don't think she's naive one bit. She learned from her mom to manipulate. She should be in jail for life, just like her evil boyfriend. Yes, her mom did wrong, but Gypsy could have found a way out. A way out, just like how she would find men online. Jen P says, you would have to understand the trauma and rage that living with abusive parents put you through. I don't think she's a danger to society whatsoever. I would have to agree mostly with Jen here. And, it's not that I don't agree or see things the way that John sees things, but I just don't think that she's a danger of committing this crime again. Now, when it comes to she could have found a way out, I think that there's a lot of different ways that they could have tried to do this than murder. I obviously don't think it's like a black and white situation. Either you murder someone or you don't, and that those are your only two options. I think that there were a lot of different avenues that could have taken before they decided to kill her. I also think that this whole fantasy life that Gypsy and Nick were sort of living in had some impact on both of their rationale thinking. Again, they're both capable of right and wrong. I understand that. But when you look at their text messages and the way that she was dressing up for him and different characters. And even when she would dress up as Cinderella to go to the Cinderella movie with her mom, she was well in her teens at that point, like beyond the age and years of dressing up and pretending you're Cinderella. So there was like a level of Gypsy that was just not in touch with reality. And I wonder if it has to do with being abused. Like, your mind goes to a safe, happy place when you're being abused. And I just wonder if that's the state and fantasy world that Gypsy liked to be in instead of dealing with the abuse, because you can't deny that her mother wasn't abusing her. There's no denying that she was abused. Does that mean that you're able to kill somebody? No. But I just wonder if it kind of led a perfect storm type of situation where, he doesn't well, that's the thing, is they found him well enough to understand right and wrong. But this whole fantasy world that they were both living in, like he claimed he had different personalities. When they were texting each other, there was just this like talk of like him being like this evil side, like he had an evil side and all that. So if you follow this case, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, then you guys should jump down those rabbit holes or watch those documentaries on Hulu or HBO. It's a lot, but there was a level of this like role playing fantasy world that it seemed they both were in. And I don't know if that trickled into the real reality and something got lost in the mix, but there was just something not totally there when it comes to Nick and Gypsy's level of, okay, this is real and this is fake. So perhaps she was under the influence from wrong people. Being abused can affect you cognitively. Yes. And it's not just well, she could have walked away, or she could have scoped a guy out on the internet to get her away. Like, there's this, she loved her mother still. Like, I think there was regret in what she did. That's just my personal opinion. And people have that attachment to their abusers. You see it in situations with spouses. You see it in situations, other situations of parents and kids. And I don't know, there was just something. She should not be released. Her level of manipulation in the interrogation proves that. Well, you can't go to prison for life for being manipulative. Just to be clear. Stockholm syndrome. Yes. Thank you, Shay Benet. That's perfect. She most likely lived in a dissociative state of mind. Yes, Jen. I'm glad you're like kind of picking up what I'm stating and what I'm kind of wondering. And hello, Roxanne. Did I see Roxanne? Okay. Hi, Roxanne. I'm always looking for you. Here in Australia, it was sort of like battered wife syndrome. Yes, she is manipulating. She was taught to act young and was abused her entire life. She has done enough time and is no threat. See, and that's the battered wife syndrome is sort of where I kind of align with things. Whereas some women strike back and kill their abusive husbands and they get, 10 years or, less sometimes for it. So I'm glad that I'm not the only one kind of seeing it that way. Well, if she refused therapy, they should have made it mandatory. Now I'm a little more nervous. I almost wonder if she's not wanting to go to therapy just because of all the doctors who she knows did her wrong. Again, I don't know for sure, and I don't know if she's ever come out and said that, but hopefully she recognizes that she's just not ready on all levels to kind of get past things that she'd gone through. Again, I don't know.
I'm gonna get a little bit personal, okay? When you were in the bathroom and you heard your mom screaming, can you kind of describe that to me? If you can, try to start from the beginning, the middle to the end.
But being an accomplice to murder, in a lot of cases, the ones that go to prison for life, it's like, but were they abused by the victim? So here there was so much evidence of abuse from the mother. Whereas in other instances, yes, if you're an accomplice, like if you're plotting or conspiring, there are like so many. That's why Chris Watts, even if he didn't do the physical murder and he just conspired with others to do it, he's right where he belongs, forever, rot in prison. For someone who was abused and then they conspire, to me, it's a little different. Like, I know it's not right, and obviously I'm saying that she definitely should have spent time in prison. But if you're being abused by the person that you conspire to kill, and I'm saying years, decades of abuse, pretty much, I don't know. It just makes me wonder if there's another case out there that's like this one. You know what I mean? Do we know if she suffered any abuse? Do we know if he suffered any abuse whatsoever? She was an accessory. So to keep it black and white rather than gray, he should walk out of prison too. So the thing is, though, he did the physical aspect. I don't think he was abused. His parents seemed like they were very involved and caring towards him. But again, it's definitely, it's a situation. It definitely is a situation. Who would marry a convicted murderer that you have never met? Crazy. So she didn't murder. I think that's the other thing people are kind of, I know that conspiring is just as bad, but I think when people are calling her a murderer, it's like, but the person who did this didn't have to. Yeah, she did manipulate Nick to do this. It's true.
I heard her wake up, kind of moaning, and
Own issues, like abusive issues, because a lot of parents have their own issues. But yeah, that's a long time for him to be diagnosed with anything. Now at 15, he was diagnosed with autism. Where am I thinking that it was Asperger's? Like, I know that that's a debatable thing. Is it a branch or on the spectrum of autism, or is it its own thing now? That to me has always been kind of, I've been confused there. So if anyone knows, please educate me. Hi, Johnny. Good to see you. Johnny, share your thoughts on Gypsy Rose. Do you think that she deserved to get out of prison in we'll call it 7, 8 years? Yeah, I heard that it was Asperger's, but I don't know. Now I'm like second guessing myself. She should get another 10 years for that voice.
I heard her scream.
You heard her moan, then you heard her scream.
Mm-hmm. And
can you describe her scream to me? No, that's an awkward question.
Startled.
Okay.
And
okay, thank you, Jen.
Then she kept screaming louder and louder. And then she had said, Gypsy, Gypsy. And
he isn't him.
Gypsy, my name. She was calling for.
She was calling.
She was calling for my name.
Your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think I knew what he was doing.
At that point, you knew what he was doing.
I knew what he was doing, but
and your mom was hollering at you for you.
But I was too afraid to go because I was afraid he'd do this thing to me.
So would it be safe that you kind of knew what he was going in there to do when he locked you in the bathroom? Okay.
See, I just 8.5 years just isn't long enough, in my opinion. But I don't think that she should spend life in prison. That's where I'm at right now. You guys let me know where you're at.
Did he tell you kind of what he was going to do? Did he make a comment or any kind?
No. Okay. But while he was doing it,
now when you say doing it, I can't guess. Part of my job is not to guess, so.
Killing her.
Okay.
He said a comment. You won't keep us apart. You won't keep us apart. You'll be dead before that happens.
Where were you?
See, this whole you're not going to keep us apart type of thing, like that comes solely from Gypsy manipulating him. She gave him a taste of the sex, and then she puts it in his head that the mom might keep them apart. So, there's there's a lot of power when it comes to sex, and I think we've seen that in other cases, that people do really stupid things because of, affairs or what have you, and men and women. So it's just crazy that Gypsy was smart enough at that time, I think, and this is just my opinion, that she recognized how powerful and how manipulative that she could be, been using, her crazy mom and saying she's not going to let us see each other, once they had already consummated a physical relationship. Let me just read what you guys are thinking about the time in prison. I believe they should have both gotten 25 years. The break says at least 30 years. Well, they're pushing that second chance stuff. So I guess if supervised and help, it's like, I guess they are releasing other people for terrible crimes. Nick spoke a lot about never having a connection with a female. And I'm sure he told her that. Yeah, and look, Chris Watts. Swayed by sex. He's somebody else who we've never heard it confirmed, but a lot of people are saying that they think Chris has Asperger's. Hello, Angie. Good to see you. Hope you guys have a great new year, everybody who's joined. She should have received more time for her perfectly evil name. Oh, geez. Nick must have had a desperation fetish. Well, we've heard Melissa Jade and others read through these text messages, and it's some raunchy stuff. And at this point, they had already been on the run together. So the officer kind of points out bruises on her and what's that from? What's this from? And she's talking about her hickeys and all that. And it's like, even years later in that interview that we read of Nick, that was 2019, years after they'd both been apart from each other. And he was basically still talking as if he was madly in love with her. I'm curious what he thought and felt when he found out that she'd married when she was behind prison walls, They should have gotten the same sentence, in my opinion. Oh, their sentences should have been equal. A lot of people are saying that. Crazy Mama agrees with that. Their texts were gross. Yeah, that's putting it kindly.
Standing at, where was he at whenever he said that?
I was in the bathroom with my hands over my ears like this, and he was in my mom's bedroom.
Yeah, I agree, Jen, and I definitely know that you're not condoning the behavior. She said, I just want to be clear. I'm not condoning what they did, but I can understand the things that go through a head living with an abusive mother. And when your brain and everything is still growing and developing, and that was the environment that she was growing and developing in, I mean, she was stunted from having a normal childhood or normal growth. It almost seemed like she did have her back up against the wall. I feel like obviously it doesn't condone what she did, but I do empathize with, what type of abuse it could have been for her, even the feeding tube in the stomach. This is real severe, she had her teeth pulled, stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. There's a real level of abuse that took place. And I'm not victim blaming or shaming, but remember, her mother, Dee Dee, the level of manipulation, towards the government and everything that got them to where they were. It's almost like Dee Dee sort of set up her own fate in a way. Again, I'm not saying that she deserved to die. I wish she would have been, reprimanded for, robbing people and all that. Make-A-Wish Foundation and the agency, FEMA agency that gave them the house after that hurricane and all that. I mean, that was all scammed. Again, the father being 17 when they were sleeping together and she was 26. You know, that's just not right. Not saying she deserved what she got, but you know, it's just one of those things. Like, did she sort of seal her fate by abusing her daughter to the point where her daughter like had enough?
And that's when he was making that comment, "You're not going to stand between me and her."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How'd you get these stuff around your neck? How'd you get all that?
They're hickeys.
They're just hickeys? Okay. How'd you get this?
That is a hickey, and that one's a bruise.
Okay.
And then
You're telling me this is a hickey?
Mm-hmm.
You've been honest with me this whole time now. Don't start lying to me now. What is this and how did you get it? I'm a guy. I would never give a girl a hickey on her arm. Okay? How'd you get that bruise? Look at me.
he grabbed my arm.
At what point did he grab your arm?
He kept on grabbing me to bring me around the house. And he made me clean up the drops of blood.
Okay. Describe that to me.
He forced me to be naked while I was doing it.
Okay.
So, he went into the kitchen and he asked if we had any carpet washing stuff.
Okay. What was, do you know the name of it or what did it look like? Can you describe it to me?
Just this one carpet odor remover. We didn't have any stain remover.
Was it in a bottle?
It was in
or
a reddish maroon bottle.
Okay.
And he grabbed my arm like this and said, "Clean it up."
Now, where were you at when he did that? What part of the house were you at?
The drops of blood went from my mom's bedroom all the way to the hall, into the dining room, to the kitchen. And he made me clean up each drop.
Okay.
And he wanted a drink of water. So he said I could get in touch any of the cups. So grab him a cup, get him some water, and he made me give him a drink of water.
Okay. What were you using to clean up the blood? Was it like a washcloth, a towel, or something different?
Scott towel.
Scott towel. Was it something your mom had in the house? Okay. What'd you do with those towels?
We threw it in the garbage.
The garbage. Okay. Where's that garbage at now?
They took it out.
Okay. Where did they take it out to? Like the street, or did they take it somewhere in a car and take it, or something different?
It was, the trash usually passes on a Thursday morning.
Your guys' trash comes on Thursday morning.
So we put it out on the curb.
Okay. When did he kill your mom?
On the night. The night of the night.
The night of the 9th? Do you know what day that was?
I can't remember the name of the day. I'm sorry.
How come you can remember the night, but you don't remember the day? Can you kind of explain that to me?
Because I remember we were planning to sneak outside and see each other.
And you remember it was the 9th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Anything else you need to tell me? Anything else you're leaving out? It's your last opportunity.
No, sir. That's it.
Nothing about you?
I didn't do anything wrong.
You never killed your mom?
No.
Never touched her with a knife?
No, never did, sir.
You never agreed? Told him that you knew he was going to kill her?
No. I never.
What do you think he's going to tell me?
He's going to tell you that I came here just to see him and that he didn't do it.
So he's not going to tell me that you had any part of this?
Honestly, I don't know what he's going to say.
Okay, I'm asking you direct and straight.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think he's going to tell me that you had anything to do with your mom's killing? And this is the time to be honest, because like I told you, walk out that door.
He has a romantic notion of us doing everything together as a team, but I didn't want this. I wanted my mom and him to.
So did you kill your mom?
No, sir.
Did you help
No, sir.
Nicholas kill your mom?
No, sir. No, sir.
Did you have knowledge that Nicholas was going to kill your mom before he did it?
No, sir.
Okay. Sit tight for me, okay?
All right, so I only wanted to play a little bit. I don't want to go through this whole thing, just kind of want to talk to you guys about it. Jen, I don't think anyone's hating on you. If anyone's being rude in chat, please, mods, let's not do that. She said, please don't hate me for somewhat defending her. I'm just trying to give my perspective from a different side. I respect everyone's opinions. Yeah, we definitely respect all opinions here. And people saying that she should be in jail still, other people saying they're happy that she's released and wish her the best. I think that unless you're being abused by your own mother on this level, okay, good, nobody's being rude. It's hard for anyone to kind of say what they would have done. And I'm talking about this type of level. I know that there could be people in chat or on replay who are saying that, you know, when I grew up, my mom or dad did this. I'm talking about this, like the medical aspect, the psychological twists and manipulation on Gypsy's own brain as her mother was raising her. It's very intense. You know, like for anyone who has a child now, can you imagine their entire life not only keeping their father from them with your own manipulative, you know, way of doing that? Now, I think that the father has some level of culpability in all this. Like, I know that he claims that Dee Dee didn't let them talk much and that Dee Dee kept her from him. I think that he got in a situation where he was a young father. He married a woman that he didn't want to. He was a child at the time, 17 and 18 when he married. She was already pregnant. He thought he was doing the right thing. And I think that he thought, I'm going to live my life. And if they don't want me around, then so be it. And he turned a blind eye and he turned the other cheek and didn't do the things that a father should have been doing. But that's my opinion. I hope that he definitely is stepping up and able to help his daughter nowadays. Yeah, we don't excuse a person of child SA because they were victims of SA as a child, but we don't excuse a person of child SA because they true. And thank you, Johnny, for the coffee and tea for everybody. I think everyone has the right to a second chance until proven otherwise. And there's a lot of people who are saying, like, look at this girl's life. She was always in a situation where she could just never be like her real self, you know, told that you can't walk when you could. It's crazy. I think she was a victim in many ways. I think that the father being preyed on by Dee Dee possibly could be seen as a victim. That whole thing is just weird to me. Why was a 23-year-old sleeping with a 17-year-old? Yeah, many people have been severely abused and never killed their abuser. Right. See, that's the thing is, yes, crazy mama, we can all agree to disagree respectfully. That's the thing too, is like, I wanted to have this conversation because it is such a complex case. Yes, absolutely. She never should have went to jail. See, and everyone's got opinions from both ends of the spectrum and they feel strongly about them. And I like that. I'm so glad I finally made it one of your lives. Oh, I'm glad you're here. Cosmic Lotus, good to see you. All right, so let me just read through a recent article about her release today and just talk to you guys a little bit more, and then we'll call it a night. My sore throat is coming back, so I got to take my meds. Again, I'm going to be live tomorrow night on the review of the Watts case, with or without CDT. The show must go on. Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the woman who persuaded a former boyfriend to kill her mother after she had forced her to pretend for years that she was suffering from leukemia, muscular dystrophy, and other serious illnesses, was released Thursday from prison on parole. Blanchard was released early in the day from the blah, blah, blah correctional center. Blanchard was granted parole after serving 85% of her original sentence. Blanchard's case sparked national tabloid interest after reports emerged that her mother, Dee Dee, who was slain in 2015, had essentially kept her daughter prisoner, forcing her to use a wheelchair and a feeding tube. It turned out that Gypsy Blanchard was perfectly healthy, not developmentally delayed, and as her friends always believed, her mother had Munchausen by proxy, a psychological disorder in which parents or caregivers seek sympathy through the exaggerated or made up illnesses from their child. See, in this, to me, I feel like Dee Dee's went beyond just that typical definition of they want sympathy. Now, that's mainly like when you look up Munchausen by proxy or just Munchausen, it's very much, they want sympathy and for people to dote over them because they're the mother of a very sick child, and they want people to look at them like, wow, you're such an honorable mother. I don't know how you do it by yourself too, a single mom, and your child is so sick, I think that with Dee Dee, it went beyond that. It was more than just she wanted the notoriety and the sympathy from people. It was on a level of scamming, like they were getting envelopes of cash in the mail from people. They were getting houses granted to them from FEMA, a government agency that helps from national disasters. And they were getting trips to Disney through Make-A-Wish Foundation. Like, it was more than just your typical Munchausen by proxy. Yes, this mother just wants people to praise her and give her all this adoration because she's the mother of a very sick child. It's more than that for Dee Dee. I think it was a moneymaker. She was using her daughter as a means to carry on their lifestyle and to get these, cash donations from people and to be like, oh, wow, your poor mother, or you guys, poor things, let me give you some money. Yeah, her lazy ASS didn't want to work. So it's just a perfect storm situation where it's not like, in a lot of Munchausen by proxy situations, the mother is a nurse herself. So there's like a lot of statistics that will tell you that in a lot of times they are nurses as an occupation. Dee Dee's mother, from everything I've seen, I don't think she ever went to college or she ever did aspire to have some career. She took care of her mother as her mother was, old and stuff, and sort of was the home aide, which is why her family is kind of suspicious of like the sudden downturn of the mother at one point. But again, we don't know that. Yeah, she was. She really was. Let's see. What else was this article saying? Okay, Gypsy Rose persuaded her former boyfriend, of Big Bend, Wisconsin, who was serving a life sentence in the killings to kill her abusive mother. Gypsy testified at 2018 trial of her former boyfriend. She went on to add, I talked him into it. When she took the stand at his trial, prosecutors already had cut her a deal because of the abuse she had endured. In exchange for pleading guilty in 2016 to second-degree murder, she was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The first-degree murder charge she initially faced would have meant a life term. So she was facing a first-degree murder charge. Now, this is where it comes in where we don't like plea deals. Let me just share my screen. Yeah, I have my backup glasses on because my little one broke my other glasses. So don't mind me. So, she was facing a first-degree murder charge, which would have meant life. But because of the plea deal, and this is the situations where, you know, it is the way it is, I guess, in America, and we have plea deals. Lots of countries do not. She was beyond evil, but I don't feel she deserved to be murdered. Yeah. And the way it's stabbing is just, and she was in her bed. It's sort of like the Idaho case, very like you're vulnerable, you think you're safe. It's terrible. Now, in addition to thinking her 8.5 years wasn't long enough, I think that the boyfriend should still be able to get paroled. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say that as my final thought on him because they did determine he knew right from wrong and it was a brutal killing. But I'm kind of stunned that they would let out a Manson murderer this year, but they're not going to give him the opportunity. I don't know. Again, you guys let me know how you feel. So yeah, this just talks about the case. We already know all this stuff, but let me check with you guys in chat before we close out. When Dee Dee's own father flushed her ashes down a toilet, that should speak volumes. Exotic. Thank you for saying that. Again, I'm not trying to be here to victim bash, but I think that I believe in karma. Oh, I don't know if I believe that. I don't know. It's a very hard situation because if Dee Dee was someone who didn't do wrong, horrible things, I'd be feeling differently, but she was not a good person. I just don't know. I don't know if I can say that she deserved what she got, but she definitely didn't deserve to live the cushy life that she was living, doing what she was doing. Ashes were not flushed. It was a joke. First of all, that's illegal. Second, all it was is his way of not having to pay attention for her cremation. Dee Dee's ashes are with the sisters Dorla. Now, the family did say that she got what she wanted or got what she deserved, though. I do remember that. Okay, it was a joke, but the family did say Dee Dee got what she deserved. Just saying, I'm just repeating what the family said. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I think it's noteworthy. Yeah, Dee Dee was sacrificing her own daughter for the fake lifestyle. Yeah, it's just a lot of there's a lot of mixed feelings, which is fine. But yes, I agree. She has to be punished and she will have to live with this all her life. Just my opinion. Hmm. Yeah, Dee Dee or Gypsy took a plea deal so no one would know the truth. I mean, we all ended up seeing the text messages. All right, final thoughts, anybody? Well, yeah, they said Dee Dee was poisoning her stepmom. If you fed me around up and ended up dead, I wouldn't be sorry either. True. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Mayla's mom. I hope that Gypsy proves the naysayers wrong and has a beautiful life. She had a horrible upbringing and a horrible decade in her 20s. But that was her own fault, She had a horrible upbringing. That wasn't her fault. She was born into this. That wasn't her fault. But she did conspire, and she was an accessory in a way. She admitted on the stand during his trial, once her plea deal was signed and squared away, that she manipulated him to do it. I feel like this is one of those cases that are going to be studied and looked at for a long time because of its complexity, because of the difference in opinions with everybody on it. It's definitely a heated discussion, and I enjoyed talking about it with you guys. We don't always agree, but Crime Curious, good to see you. Scottish Queen, good to see you. Karma is a bitch. Final thought. And you know, I feel like I might be there with you. All right, guys. Well, that's it for tonight. I'm really appreciative of you guys being here with me and discussing this complex case. I think that Gypsy is going to be somebody that people in the true crime community are going to have eyes on even throughout her life, even if nothing ends up happening. I think that she's always going to be an interesting figure for us to kind of, peek and wonder what's she up to. People have said that they see her doing TV shows. Other people have said that she's going to hide away. Some people have suggested that people not reach out to her and just let her acclimate outside of the prison walls into a normal life. Other people's hope that she puts her story and her side out there, whether it's in a documentary or in a book. I don't know. But I don't know. I think that time is going to tell if people were right or wrong about her, and all we have to do is sit back and wait and see. I also think that, like I said, that this is just another example where plea deals don't do everyone's a fair deal, pretty much. Only for the prosecution are plea deals really a good deal. But all right, we will talk very soon. Actually, tomorrow night, the Watts Live. So we'll be better. Yeah, I hope I'm better tomorrow. I think I will be. It's a very mild cold, but I'm feeling like achy. Like as soon as the ibuprofen is wearing off, I feel it. But I'm hoping some sleep will help. But we'll talk later, guys. I'll see you in other live chats too. So if you see me on Alex Erickson's channel or criminality, discussing Delphi, I had to take a break from Delphi, guys. And I'll explain all that in my next Delphi live stream. Johnny, are you going live? Because if you guys ever want to just decompress and just chat, like not just about crime, we talk about other things too. Johnny Kramer has just a really laid back channel where we can just kind of chill. And I enjoy when he goes live. He will be going live, I think, how many days until you're back on live streaming? I just remembered. But either way, I'll see you guys all soon. So goodbye.